an import company. You are competing on design, or creativity, or innovation, or whatever you want to call it, okay? One of your big fears is the international part of this. The rules, the regulations, the government, the U.S. Customs, the dogs, the permits, all that kind of thing. Happily, we at the small business level don't even worry about that, okay? What we rely on people called customs brokers. They're private companies that fill out the paperwork required by the federal government to bring products into the United States. Because the rules and regulations are so chaotic right now, you can't keep on top of it. So you go to these customs brokers who will fill out all the paperwork and keep it all straight for you. Who they are and how you work with them, I'll tell you during the course of the day. They, along with steamship lines, and this is on page 2 of your handouts there, steamship lines, airlines, insurance carriers, banks. You will not get financing from banks, but you may need to have a payment mechanism via banks, or you may need to buy foreign currencies from banks. So you may need services of banks. And then finally, government agencies. If you like governments, you're going to love this industry because it is government intensive. Every federal government agency has an interest in what crosses the docks. Happily, there's one federal agency that represents all of the others, and that's United States Customs Service. So they're the ones to whom you make a declaration. This is what I'm bringing across the docks to them, and they're a clearinghouse for everybody else. What that declaration should say is your customs broker will tell you. Your customs broker will also tell you in advance what paperwork you need to bring your products into the United States. They'll also tell you how to get say you're bringing umbrellas from Singapore, out of the factory in Singapore, down to the docks in Singapore, past customs in Singapore, on a ship across the Pacific, into your port city, off the ship, past United States Customs, every step of the way. What time frames, what logistical channels, what costs, what permits, everything in advance at no cost to you. So these customs brokers are your continuing education structure after today. How you work with them and when you talk to them, I'll lay out during the course later today. But they have a vested interest in seeing you succeed. So they want to give you this information for free so you understand what's going on so you'll do the deal. Where they get paid, or when they get paid, is when the goods hit the docks here in the United States. That's when they get paid. You won't bring it won't hit the docks unless you know what to do. So they're going to teach you all of that hard part. And then when you know it all, you're going to say, well, you guys just handle it. And they will. And I'll show you what those fees are later as well when we get through costings. Okay, so this group, who they are, how you work with them, I'll tell you during the course of the day. How you work with them. We'll cover that. All right. Then the next thing is all right, we're going to find the best place in the world to have our product made. That's actually an absolute critical, fundamental issue. What if you all propose you're going to be importers, and there's reasons why. You may not know it, but at the small business level, we very often find the best place in the world to have the product made is overseas. Nike went overseas first. There's plenty of shoes being manufactured in the United States, but Nike went overseas first. There are plenty of anything being made anywhere. Nike went overseas even though shoes are being made in the United States. Nike went overseas to Japan starting out. Nike paid more for the shoes from Japan than they would have paid had they bought the shoes in the United States. Now this is not uncommon for a small business, startup business, to go overseas to buy goods rather than buy them in the United States. I know this from my own experience. Got a little glassware items, go to Libby Glass, City of Commerce, California, and they will offer me 80 cents a glass. Out of England, it's $4 a glass. Why would I pay $4 out of England, not 80 cents a glass out of City of Commerce, California? Why would Nike go over to Japan to buy shoes when they started out rather than have them made in the United States where they could be made for less money in the United States? Why is that? Any idea why that might be?
Because of the quality.
Quality is good. It may be different, but good enough both places.
Is it the volume?
I mean, you have to have
Volumes,
higher
good. Essentially, it's volumes. Okay. If I go to City of Commerce, California, Libby Glass, their minimum is 720,000 pieces, 3 days production run. At 80 cents a piece, that's over $500,000 I have to come up front. I don't have enough customers to cover that. That's a 33-year supply. I simply cannot do the deal at 80 cents each. Out of England, 1,200 pieces, I can sell that in a workable amount of time, $4 each. Because I can sell them at $10 each, and my customers can sell them at $20 each, to where I can make money doing the deal bringing them from England. Nike could not do the deal making the shoes in the United States because the volumes are too high. They could charge a premium price and do the deal out of overseas, but they could not do the deal at the lower price from the United States. Does that make sense? It's the doability of the deal. Okay, now, we're going to go overseas, but maybe not. We're going to take you through the process of finding the best place in the world to have your product made later, right? If we go through that process, we'll check in the United States. If we find the United States is the best place in the world to have the product made, well then make it here, right? And sell it here. I mean, importing is just a function. It's not a business. The business is selling. Whether you import canned peaches and sell them, or canned peaches in your basement and sell them, either way, you're selling canned peaches. That's the business. Making canned peaches in the basement is not business. Importing them is not business. It's the selling of them is business. Why do you care where you get your goods? Okay, most people don't. But at the small business level, what we find is the suppliers overseas, keen on getting into the United States market, are willing to work with the small businesses as long as we're paying these premium prices and we're making money and they're making money, as we'll look at more in detail. But, so if you find out that the best place in the world to have the product made is actually here in the United States, well then what did you learn? You got the best place. You checked overseas. As I'll show you this afternoon, the process of finding the best place in the world to have the product made. It's something you can do on your own, at no cost to you, on your computer at home. I'll show you all that, what's involved in that. Show you that process. And then you find the best place in the world overseas, and you compare it to the best place in the United States. At the small business level, when you compare American manufacturers who tend to be conservators, who tend to maybe get you a lower price but need these huge volumes, that's standard in America, you find that the businesses overseas are more flexible, and you can actually work with them and you can actually make money with them. Therefore, most common at the small business levels, we find getting our products overseas is the place to go. So if that's the case, then what do? You go to the best place in the world. Now, as you go through the process I lay out this afternoon, you're probably going to run into agents in between you and the ultimate factory that makes the goods. Now, if you grew up in the United States, you're going to say, agents, middlemen, I don't want to work with agents, I want to cut them out of the deal. Well, these agents that represent factories are worth their weight in gold. They provide two very important functions. One is bilinguality. They speak the language of the country of origin and they speak English. The second function is the paperwork. They know the paperwork required to get the products out of the country of origin. They know the paperwork required to get it into the United States. And that paperwork is absolutely critical. If it's not done right, you got all sorts of headaches. Maybe you get in trouble. So their function, if that's where everybody goes, when we try to find the best place in the world to have the product made, we don't care if it's an agent, we don't care if it's a factory, we want to go where everybody else goes. We want to go to the best place in the world to have the product made, which, as I say, the process I'll show you this afternoon, you'll be able to see exactly who that is. So either one, whoever it is, if it happens to be an agent, don't try to cut them out of the deal. If you ever ask them what they're charging you to do the work, they'll swear up and down that for you, they're working for free, just because they like you so much. Just figure if something's 90 cents at the factory, the agent is adding their dime, and the price to you is $1. Now, when you go through the process of finding the best place in the world to have the product made, you'll also see what all the other American importers are paying for the product. So you'll already know before you sit down across the table for the people overseas, you'll already know what they're charging for these products. Woo!